तो देखते हैं एथीज़म पे लेक्चर नंबर 5, जिसमें एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ गॉड को डिस्कस किया गया है। और इस लेक्चर में देखेंगे आप बॉटनी, ज़ूलॉजी वगैरह इन पे डिस्कस किया गया है। वीडियो देखते हैं।
Quran says about botany. Previously, we did not know that even the plants have got sexes, male or female. Quran says in Surah Taha, chapter number 20, verse number 53, it is we have sent down water from the sky, and with it brought diverse pairs of plants. The Arabic word is azwaj. Azwaj means spouses, meaning pairs, male and female. So Quran says even the plants have got sexes, male and female. The Quran says in Surah Ra'd, chapter number 30, verse number 3, we have created every kind of fruit in pairs. The Quran says in Surah Yasin, chapter number 36, verse number 36, that we have created everything what the human beings know and what they don't know into pairs. Means we have created everything in pairs, the things the human beings know and the things which human beings don't know. We have come to know even a phenomena like electricity. There is a plus and a negative, a positive charge and negative charge, electron and a proton, talking about the atom. So the Quran says that we have created everything in pairs, even what the human beings know and what the human beings don't know. Slowly we are coming to know. First we thought only the human beings have sex in male and female. Then we came to know animals. Then we came to know plants. Now we come to know electricity. Everything that has been created, the Quran says we have made it into pairs, 2 and 2. Things which we don't know and things which we know. In the field of zoology, the Quran says in Surah Anam, chapter number 6, verse number 38, that it is He who has created every animal that walks on the earth and every bird that flies in the air to live in communities like the human beings. Today science tells us that the animals and the birds, they live in communities like the human beings. Quran says in Surah Nahl, chapter number 16, verse number 60 and 69, that it is He who has taught the bees to build its homes, its cells, in human habitations, in trees and on hills, and to find the spacious path of thy Lord with great skill. What does the Quran mean by saying that He has taught the bee to find the spacious path of thy Lord with great skill? It was in 1973, that's the Fawn Fresh. He got the Nobel Prize for describing the behavior of the bee. And he said that whenever a bee finds a new flower or a new garden, it goes and tells its fellow bee the exact direction of the new garden or the new flower by a process known as the bee dance. And Quran mentioned this 14 years ago, which we came to know hardly 45 years back. Quran, even in Surah Nahl, chapter 16, verse 68 and 69, uses the gender for the worker bee as female, as fasluki or khuli. Previously, we thought that the worker bee was a male bee. That's the reason Shakespeare, in his play, Henry IV, he mentions that the male bees, the soldiers, they work and they report to the king. Today, science tells us that it is not the male bee which is the worker bee, it is the female bee. And they don't report to the king, they report to the queen. Imagine, 1400 years ago, the Quran even specifies the gender of the worker bee as being feminine. Quran says in Surah Al-Qamar, chapter number 29, verse number 41, that as to those who take for protectors anyone besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Almighty God, they build for themselves houses like that of the spider. Verily, the house of the spider is fragile. Quran says, all those who take for protectors anyone besides Almighty God, they build for themselves houses like the spider. And we know that the web of the spider is fragile, is very weak. Besides talking about the delicate nature of the web of the spider, it even speaks about the physical nature. Today, science tells us that many a time the female spider kills the male spider and is called as the black widow. So the Quran says, those who take for protectors anyone besides Almighty God, build for themselves houses like the spider. Besides being fragile, it talks about the delicate nature of the family relationship in which the female spider kills the male spider. Quran says in Surah Namal, chapter number 27, verse number 17 and 18, that when Solomon and his host of men, jinns, birds, when they walked and when they approached a lowly valley of ants, one of the ants said, O ye ants, get into the habitations, lest Solomon and his army unknowingly will trample you beneath the feet. People may think, what kind of a fairy tale book is the Quran? The ants talking among themselves? It sounds like a fairy tale book. Today, after science advance, we have come to know that the animal or insect which has the closest resemblance to that of a human being, it is the ant. The ant buries the dead the same way as the human beings do. They have a sophisticated method of labor, where they have a manager, they have a supervisor, they have a foreman, they have a worker. They have a sophisticated method of communication. They very often meet to chat. They even have marketplaces where they exchange goods. You know, we have souk, marketplaces. They have marketplaces where they exchange goods. And if the ants store the grain, and if the grain begins to bud, the ants chop the bud as though they knew that budding will cause the rotting of the grain. And if the grain gets wet in the rainy season, the ant takes the grain in the sunlight to dry as though it knew that humidity will cause the rotting of the grain. When I was a kid, when I had to see these ants carrying the grain in sunlight, I have to wonder where they are going. Now I have come to know that the ants are going in the sunlight, not taking the grain to dry, as though they knew that humidity will cause the rotting of the grain. In the field of medicine, the Quran says in Surah Nahl, chapter number 16, verse number 69, from the belly of the bee, we give you a drink of varying colors in which there is healing for humankind. We did not know previously that the honey is obtained from the belly of the bee. We came to know hardly 300 years back that the honey we have is from the belly of the bee. And today science tells us that the honey is rich in vitamin K and fructose, and it even has mild antiseptic properties. No wonder the Russian soldiers in World War II, they used honey to cover up their wounds. And when the honey was put, the healing was done with leaving very little scar tissue. And germs and bacteria could not grow in the wound because of the density of honey. And if a person is suffering from the allergy of a particular plant, if honey produced from that plant is given to him, he starts developing resistance to that allergy. In the field of physiology, there's one particular verse which talks about the blood circulation and the production of milk. It was 600 years after the Quran was revealed that Ibn Nafis first described the blood circulation. And 400 years after Ibn Nafis, William Harvey made it common to the world. 1,000 years after the Quran was revealed, and 400 years after Ibn Nafis spoke about the blood circulation, William Harvey made it famous to the Western world. In our textbook, we read about William Harvey, we don't read the name Ibn Nafis. Ibn Nafis was the first person to describe the blood circulation. Just in a nutshell, the food that we eat, it enters the stomach. From the stomach, it goes to the intestine. From the intestine, the constituents of the food via the blood vessel of the intestine go into the bloodstream. And it reaches almost all the different organs of the body, many a time via the complex way of the liver. It also reaches the mammary glands, which is responsible for the production of milk. All this complex blood circulation and the production of milk is mentioned in a nutshell in the Quran, in Surah Nahl, chapter number 16, verse number 66, where it says that verily in the cattle is a lesson for you. We give you to drink from what is within the body, coming from a constituent of the contents of the intestine and blood, milk which is pure for you to have. Quran repeats the message in Surah Mu'minun, chapter number 23, verse number 21. Verily in the cattle is a sign for you. We give you to drink from what is within the body, milk which is pure for you. And in it are various benefits. And of their meat you can eat. The Quran speaks about the blood circulation and the production of milk in a nutshell.
तो जिस भी फील्ड में आप जाएंगे कुरान आपकी वहाँ रहनुमाई करेगा, ठीक। तो देखते रहे, इंशाल्लाह अगला पार्ट जल्दी आने वाला है। स्टे कनेक्टेड।